Hello everybody, hope you had a good weekend, and I hope you liked the Raw vs. Smackdown portion of the video. That, like I stated in previous videos, this is an idea I've been toying with for a couple weeks now. Basically just keeping score and keeping a tally of which show is better, Raw or SmackDown. And that might change week to week. So far it's been, Raw started off really strong, but the last 2 weeks I felt like SmackDown's been the better show. Will that change? I don't know. Come WrestleMania time, we might wind up with a case where SmackDown just runs away with this thing, or Raw might bounce back and run away with it, so who knows. But or they might just go back and forth and trade, and there's just... Hopefully we get to a point where both shows are really good, and it's a hard decision to make. But right now I don't think either show is necessarily a runaway hit. Like, the best show that's happened so far has been the very first Raw of the brand split. But, hopefully they can find their footing and get more consistent, and we get two really good shows out of it. But either way, it'll be fun to keep track of which show is better heading into WrestleMania. But that's enough about Raw and SmackDown for right now. But like I said, that portion of the video, that's just a quick thing that I'm going to tag onto my videos once a week. So that's not going to be me doing overly long reviews of Raw or SmackDown unless the situation really calls for it. But yeah, that's just a fun little thing I thought I'd add to the videos. But, moving away from Raw and SmackDown, I've got a lot of other things to talk about. I definitely want to talk about Lucha Underground Season 3. The trailer leaked, or was released by El Rey Network, I should say, and it looks really damn cool. It's coming back in September. That is awesome. I don't have to wait as long for Lucha Underground to come back, and I feel like there's been enough of a break to where it can freshen up and, hopefully come back, stronger than ever. I know that Season 3 was pretty much filmed right after Season 2, so... they've been working on it while Season 2 was airing. But the trailer, once again, looked very cool, and I'm very interested in seeing where they go with certain things, and I think Season 2 ended in a way where there's a lot of different twists and turns in the story that could happen that I really want to see. And hopefully it all goes really, really well, because Lucha Underground, it's flippin' sweet, man. Yeah, just go check out the trailer. It's really cool, and I can't wait to have Lucha Underground back. It's going to be great. I also wanted to talk about the Cruiserweight Classic, which had easily its best episode this week, ever since WWE started airing it on the network. The first round shows were good, with a few really good matches sprinkled in, but they're kind of laying the groundwork for the bigger stuff, and now that we've gotten past the first round, everything's going to get a little bit more intense and a little bit bigger and a little bit more high stakes. And we definitely saw that this week with two really awesome matches between Tajiri and Mascarita Dorada, or Grand Metallic, I should say. That's his name in this tournament. I thought their match was very good, and I thought Kota Ibushi and Cedric Alexander had an outstanding match. Terrific, hard-hitting, passionate, just crazy-ass match. And what I really like what I'm seeing out of the CWC is that they didn't go for an indie-rific type of style, for lack of a better word. One of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of... I don't want to say I'm not a huge fan of it, but one of the reasons that the WWE style can get tiring is that in the WWE, they're especially on main roster, Raw and SmackDown, they are keen on guys hitting the same sequences over and over and over again, hitting the same moves over and over and over again. So the matches feel very paint by numbers and very formulaic. And that's one of the things that can really get tiresome with the WWE product if you watch it week after week after week. And I like that the CWC doesn't do that at all. But I also like that it's not that indie-rific style that I talked about where it's just spots for the sake of spots. If you watch the two matches in this episode, Tajiri and Metallic and Ibushi and Alexander, you saw two matches of guys that were, their strategies changed as the match evolved. And they were hard-hitting, and as Cedric Alexander was getting frustrated when he couldn't put Ibushi away, so there was human touches in it. It felt like two athletes trying to outdo the other. It didn't feel like just a senseless spot fest where they were just doing spots for the sake of doing spots. So, both matches just came off very naturally and very well, and I was really happy with this week's episode. you know, the fans were chanting, "Please sign Cedric" at the end, and it looks like we're going to see Cedric Alexander in the WWE moving forward, which, after a performance like that, it's easy to see why. I mean, he really earned his stripes on that one. That's easily the best match I've ever seen Cedric have. Not that he'd ever been bad before that, but that was like, wow, that was a really impressive performance. Not just for the moves he did, not just because he could hang with Ibushi, but because, just like his mannerisms and his facial expressions and how he reacted to things. Those little nuances that often get overlooked, but are very important in the long run. And Ibushi, it's very interesting. So far in the tournament, he's actually been kind of pushed to the limit. I'm looking at this like, you know, he's the heavy favorite to win it, but he's not dominating. He's winning these really, really close matches, and that's really interesting to me. I think for sure he's going to go to the finals, at least. He might not win it all, but he's definitely going to the finals. But I don't know. It's interesting that they all keep saying that he's the major favorite to win this thing, and he's really hasn't been that dominant. He's just kind of winning these squeakers. I mean, if you're watching, I mean, if this were a real sport, that's what you would be saying. And I wonder if the commentators are going to pick up on that at some point, because the commentary's great. I mean, Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan, they inject so much passion and knowledge into everything that they talk about on that show that it's a joy to listen to them call this shit. It's delightful. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. NXT is shaping up for its next TakeOver special, happening this Saturday. Ring of Honor also setting up for their next pay-per-view. I've already forgotten the name of it. Is it Death Before Dishonor? Is that the show? I don't remember the name. I know the main event is Jay Lethal versus Adam Cole, and they're actually doing a really good job building up that main event. I'm actually really excited to see it, just because of the stuff that they've done on TV with the Bullet Club shaving Jay Lethal's head and Nigel banning Adam Cole from any title matches and all that stuff. And Nigel basically, Lethal basically demanding that Nigel lift the title match ban on Adam Cole and demanding the title match with him. So I really want to see that match. So that should be a lot of fun. TakeOver, you're getting Nakamura versus Joe, which should be good. You're getting Bayley versus Asuka, which I think is going to steal the show. And they've set up a few other grudge matches and big things as well. So I wonder if NXT is going to outshine the WWE pay-per-view again, because they've got SummerSlam the next night. And that card is shaping up as well. So because those three shows are happening this weekend, or this upcoming weekend, sometime during the week I will be doing a preview of all three shows, and then the next video after that, early the week after, I will review all three shows. Because I'm definitely going to see all three of them, so might as well. So yeah, but that brings me to another thing, that I have to do a classic match review. I do that monthly, and I wanted to get this out a little bit earlier, but I think, again, work and life and not enough time, all that stuff got in the way, so I wasn't able to get to the classic match review as early as I wanted. But as I said, I'm going to be reviewing two matches for this particular classic match review, and these two matches will relate to, they will share two things in common. They will both be SummerSlam matches, and they will both be Bret Hart matches. Originally, I was just going to do one Bret Hart SummerSlam match, because to me, Bret Hart is to SummerSlam what Shawn Michaels became to WrestleMania, where Shawn has the best matches at WrestleMania. That's pretty much undisputed. Sorry. Bret Hart, to me, is probably the most consistent performer in SummerSlam's history. When you look at the matches that he had at SummerSlam, really great stuff. The match with Perfect, the match with Owen, the match with Bulldog, and a few underrated classics as well, like his match with Taker and his match with the Hart Foundation versus Demolition at 90, I thought was very, very good. The stuff with Lawler at 93, not one of his best matches per se, but the emotion and the drama of everything that they did, where, I mean, you could argue it was overbooked, but it was so entertaining and so well done that nobody seemed to care, so I thought it was handled perfectly. Bret just typically does very, very well at SummerSlam, so I wanted to do one of his matches for my classic match review this month, and I was going to let you all pick it. Unfortunately, I also realized that my inclination would have been to do one of the underrated Bret Hart SummerSlam matches, like the match with Demolition at 90, or the match with Lawler at 93, or one of those. But you all would probably want me to review one of the more well-known ones, the match with Bulldog, the match with Perfect, the match with Owen. So what I'm going to do instead, for my classic match review, I'm going to review one of the definitive classics and one of the underrated ones, and you all will get to vote on each one. So follow me on Twitter. The link is down below. I will post up the polls, and you'll get to select between the 91 Perfect match, the 92 Bulldog match, and the 94 Owen Cage match. And then on the other side, you'll get to pick the underrated Bret Hart SummerSlam Classic, which will be either the 2 out of 3 Falls match with Demolition at 90, the match with Lawler at 93, or the title match with Undertaker at 97. And you'll get to pick one of those. So I will be reviewing 2 Bret Hart SummerSlam matches, one a more well-known, well-respected classic, and the other one a bit of an underrated gem that I really like. So you've got your options, and my next classic match review will see both of those matches get reviewed. So the poll will go up on Twitter tonight, and y'all are going to get to make your picks, and then I will probably get to the classic match reviews sometime next week. Probably the next video after I review SummerSlam, NXT TakeOver, and the ROH pay-per-view. So you all will have fun with that. So now I've got all that business out of the way. The main thing I wanted to talk about in this video was the G1 Climax, which concluded today, and I managed to get caught up on it, and man, did they have some really good matches down the stretch. I mean, Okada and Ishii, Makabe and Ishii had another match. Okada and Tanahashi with Block A on the line had another classic. I mean, their matches are just incredible. That match went to a draw, which resulted in Goto winning Block A and heading into the finals, which I thought was an interesting little twist. I mean, if two guys are going to fight each other to a time limit draw, it would probably be Okada and Tanahashi, especially when it's a 30-minute time limit. And it's like, oh damn, that's not enough time for those guys. They need, they need at least 10 more. But yeah, they added another classic to their series. They have unbelievable chemistry with each other, and Naito and Omega had an outstanding match to determine the winner of Block B, which was won by Kenny Omega. And it was really appropriate that those two guys finished out Block B because, once AJ and Nakamura left, and they left at the same time, that left a huge void in New Japan. And really, Naito was kind of asked to fill Nakamura's spot, and Omega was asked to fill AJ's spot and be the leader of the Bullet Club and all that stuff. Very tough shoes to fill, and I think both guys have done admirably this year. I think they've done very, very well in those spots. Naito has completely changed himself and completely reformed, almost becoming a completely different wrestler. I mean, really, I read one comment that said that what New Japan did with Naito is basically what WWE should have done with Roman Reigns. Basically, just take your lame babyface and make him awesome. And it's like they wrote the script for you, WWE. Just take it. Because you really, if the fans aren't liking you, you can't force it. And that's one of the things I just do not understand about Roman Reigns. But that's a whole nother topic for another time. I mean, whatever. Like I said, that's another topic for another time. But and Omega having to take over an AJ spot, much like how AJ took over for Prince Devitt as head of the Bullet Club, that's a very tough spot to fill. And Omega was largely untested in like major matches. He'd done really well at the junior heavyweight level, but now he was like, okay, now you're being asked to be the Intercontinental title level and hold the belt that Nakamura left behind. And I thought he did well at that. He led the Bullet Club well. He had great matches with Elgin. I put over their ladder match and the match that they had in the G1 Climax. So he did really, really well, and he got even better in the G1 Climax, as we saw. And it was really fitting that those were the two, Naito and Omega, that really closed out Block B. Omega won. The match was outstanding. Some of the reversals they did towards the end were insane. And that set up the finals of Hiroki Goto taking on Kenny Omega. And once it became Goto and Omega, I was like, well, fuck, Omega's winning. I mean, once Goto won Block A, I was like, well, the Block B guy's gotta win. I mean, there's no way that Goto's winning. No knock on Goto, but I was kind of like, there's no way Omega's not winning this. It has to be him. And sure enough, Omega won. Another outstanding match. I really liked it, especially at the end, where Omega broke out, Bloody Sunday, the Styles Clash, and then finished him off with the One-Winged Angel. I thought that was a nice little touch, that basically referencing the history of all the past Bullet Club leaders and whatnot. Omega won, and good for him. Like I said, he's really had to fill some pretty big shoes this year, and I think he's done more than his fair share and has done really well. So congratulations to him for the big win. And now that he's kind of moving up to that major top tier level, up with the Okadas and the Tanahashis, I wish him all the best, because New Japan needs guys to fill those spots, and so far he's done really, really well. And it was a very nice conclusion to a very enjoyable tournament. Between the G1 Climax and the Cruiserweight Classic this month, I think we're going to see a lot of great matches. And then this weekend we've got Ring of Honor and NXT and SummerSlam. So yeah, it might be another rough top 10 list this month. So yeah, the G1 Climax was very good. My one knock on the whole thing, I watching these matches back to back and everything, I noticed that the count out tease is used quite often in New Japan matches, and somebody was explaining to me, it's like, oh yeah, Gato, yeah, he loves that, the fucking count out tease, and they always get back in the ring right at 19. It's like clockwork. It's like he's gonna roll back in right at 19. Yep, there you go. And I'm not saying I'm a psychic, I'm just saying I've watched this shit a lot, and I know he's gonna roll back into the ring at 19. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that kind of bugs me, where it's like, look, just let the match end in a count out at one point, or, let him get in at 15, or let him get in at 17, or 10, or whatever. It's like, it doesn't have to be 19 every single fucking time, because then it loses all drama, because you just know that that's what's going to happen, if that's exactly what happens every time. But other than that, I thought the tournament was very enjoyable, and like I said, I was very happy for Kenny Omega, and Tetsuya Naito as well. Both of them really, really earned their stripes this year, and they kind of got a nice reward for it. So that is all very cool. But that is all I have for you now. Yeah, it wraps up my wrestling, my week in wrestling, I guess you could say. But next week I'll have another Raw versus SmackDown thing. I'll have a preview for the major shows happening next weekend. And I'll have, like I said, I'll have the classic match reviews for you not long after that. So a lot of stuff to look forward to, you guys. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.